Good morning, students. So, in our previous class, I have explained you about the pulse amplitude modulation and generation and demodulation of a pulse amplitude modulation, right? So, in today's class, we will see the pulse time modulation. So, in pulse time modulation, we are having a two types of modulations. They are pulse width modulation, or we can say pulse duration modulation, and second one is a pulse position modulation. So, in PAM modulation, the amplitude varies and remaining parameters are constant, right? So here in the pulse time modulation, the amplitude of a pulse is held constant, whereas the position of the pulse or width of a pulse is made proportional to the amplitude of a signal at the sampling instant. So in pulse width modulation, the width will be varies, and in pulse position modulation, the position will be varies. Now we'll see one by one. First one is a pulse width modulation. And as I said now, it is also called as a pulse duration modulation or pulse length modulation. If we come to the definition, in PWM, the width of the pulses of a carrier pulse train is varied in accordance with the modulating signal. So if you observe the waveforms here, the first one represents the carrier signal, which is a sampling pulses. And if you observe the second one, that is a modulating signal, which is also called as a message signal. And the last one is a PWM signal, which is a pulse width modulated signal. So here the width will be changes. If you observe in the third waveform, the width of the pulses will be different. So the width will be changes depending upon the message signal and sampling pulses. And now we will see the generation of a PWM, how a PWM signal will be generated. So here it is a block diagram of a generation of a PWM. So first we are applying a modulating signal x of t to the comparator, and also we are applying a sawtooth generator to the comparator. So this sawtooth generator will generate a sawtooth signal, and it is used as a sampling signal. So we are applying a modulating signal, which is a message signal, and a sawtooth signal, which is a sampling signal to the comparator. And the comparator will compare those two signals and generates the PWM output. Now I'll read the content here. So as I said now, it is the block diagram of a PWM signal generator, and the circuit can also be used for the generation of a PPM signal. So a sawtooth generator generates a sawtooth signal of frequency fs, and this sawtooth signal in this case is used as a sampling signal. Now only I said. So the sawtooth signal will be used as a sampling signal, and then that is applied to the inverting terminal of a comparator. So here you have to observe the one thing. So for a comparator, we are having a two terminals, input terminals, inverting terminal as well as a non-inverting terminal. Minus negative polarity is called as a inverting terminal, plus positive polarity is called as a non-inverting terminal. So sawtooth signal is given to the inverting terminal, and the modulating signal x of t is applied to the non-inverting terminal of the same comparator. Non-inverting terminal means positive polarity, and the comparator output will remain high as long as the instantaneous amplitude of x of t is higher than that of the ramp signal. And this gives rise to a PWM signal at the comparator output as shown in figure 2. So here it is the figure 2. So it represents the waveforms. So first one is a sawtooth waveform. So if you observe here, sawtooth waveform, and there you can see x of t also clearly. X of t, which is a sinusoidal signal, and a sawtooth waveform. Figure 1, first waveform represents the x of t as well as a sawtooth. And if you observe the second waveform, it represents the PWM output. So PWM output means pulse width modulation. So here the width will be changes. And the third waveform we can also observe here, pulse position modulation. So I will explain it later. Just observe the waveform here. So pulse position modulation means the position will be changes. So we can represent like this in the waveform. If you observe here, the position will be changes in the PPM output. So it is the pulse width demodulation. Now we will see how a PWM demodulation takes place. So first we are having a PWM signal, and that PWM signal is given to a ramp generator as well as to the synchronous pulse generator. So this ramp generator will generate a ramp signal, and synchronous pulse generator will generate a synchronous pulses, and that both outputs of a ramp generator and synchronous pulse generator is given to the adder, and this adder will add the output of a ramp generator as well as the output of a synchronous pulse generator, and after adding the two signal it gives it to the clipper. So clipper circuit, it gives the output to the low pass filter. So clipper will clips the unnecessary part and it gives to the low pass filter. So the work of a low pass filter is, we already know, low pass filter means which allows low frequency components only, and it attenuates or rejects the high frequency components. So it allows the low frequency components, low frequencies to the output. So there we will get the PWM demodulated signal. So it is the PWM demodulation. So you can clearly observe the waveforms. So first one is a PWM signal, which is a pulse width modulated signal, first one. So second one is the output of a Smith trigger. So you can see here in the second waveform, that is the output of a Smith trigger. And third waveform is the output of a ramp generator. So it generates a ramp signal. So if the width is small, the ramp is also small. If the width is high, the ramp is also high. You can clearly observe in third waveform. Observe the second waveform and third waveform. In second waveform, if the width is low, the ramp is also low. If the width is high, the ramp is high. And fourth waveform represents the output of a synchronization pulse generator, and it generates a pulse generator will generate a pulses like this in the fourth waveform. And in the fourth step, what happens in fourth step? Output of a adder. So now only I said adder will add the output of a ramp generator and output of a synchronous pulse generator, and we will get output like this. And in the next waveform, we will see the level shifter, output of a level shifter. So it just shifts the level. Output of a level shifter will be like this. And next, last one, we will see the recovery of a modulating signal. So in between this, we will use a rectifier also. So finally, we will get the output of a PWM like this. So it is the demodulation of a PWM. So here each waveform represents the each block operation. So what is the work of a ramp generator? What is the work of a synchronous pulse generator? What is the work of a adder, clipper, low pass filter, and output? So it is the waveforms of a PWM. So I just explain the content one more time. So the received signal PWM signal is applied to the Smith trigger circuit. This Smith trigger circuit removes the noise in the PWM waveform, and the regenerated PWM is then applied to the ramp generator and the synchronization pulse detector. So if you're applying the PWM to the both ramp generator as well as the pulse detector, and this ramp generator produces a ramps for the duration of a pulses such that height of a ramps are proportional to the width of the PWM pulses. Now only I said, if the width is less, the ramp height is also low. If the width is high, then the height of the ramp is also high. And next one, the maximum ramp voltage is retained till the next pulse. On the other hand, synchronous pulse detector produces reference pulses with a constant amplitude and pulse width. And these pulses are delayed for specific amount of delay as shown in the figure. And the delayed reference pulses and the output of a ramp generator is added with the help of an adder. So the work of adder is to add the two signals, and that output of adder is given to a level shifter. So here negative offset shifts the waveform as shown in the figure. The negative part of the waveform is clipped by the rectifier. Finally, the output of a rectifier is passed through the low pass filter to recover the modulating signal. So as I said, now we will use rectifier also. So that is about the generation and demodulation of a PWM. Now we will see the advantages and disadvantages of a PWM. So coming to the advantages, noise will be less because since in PAM amplitude is held constant, right? So because of that reason, noise will be less, and signal and noise separation is also very easy. And PWM communication does not require any synchronization between the transmitter and receiver. So these are the advantages of a pulse width modulation. Coming to the disadvantages of a pulse width modulation, in PWM, pulses are varying in width and therefore their power contents are variable. This requires that the transmitter must be able to handle the power content of the pulse having a maximum pulse width. So here the power requirement also varies. Power contents are variable. And second one is a large bandwidth is required for the PWM as compared to the PAM. So we require a large bandwidth in pulse width modulation than compared to the pulse amplitude modulation. So these are the disadvantages of a PWM. So in next class, we will see the pulse position modulation. What is a pulse position modulation? How we are going to generate a pulse position modulation and how we demodulate a pulse position modulation. So that's it for the today's class. So in today's class, we have seen about the what is a PWM and then advantages, disadvantages, generation and demodulation of a PWM. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching.